Hey, this is Kevin VanDam, and you're listening to the Tell Tale Fisherman Podcast.
And you're about to hear KVD share his most epic day of tournament fishing ever. Here we go with part 2 of our special 1-year anniversary episode, brought to you by reelsandtackle.com.
Welcome to the Tell Tale Fisherman Podcast, where avid anglers share the story of their best fishing day ever to inspire yours. Now it's time for another epic adventure. So here's your host, John Woodson.
Welcome back to part 2 of our 1-year anniversary special with Kevin VanDam. In part 1, we talked about the fishing KVD did growing up, how he got his start in professional fishing, and some of the other types of fishing that he loves to do. Let's pick it right back up where we left off. Yeah, so do you get occasion to go and still do all of those types of fishing that you did when you were a kid, the trout and muskie and pike, or is that kind of hard to get time away to do that these days?
I still do, not near as frequently as I used to, but obviously I spend the majority of my time based around the tournaments and the travel that I have to do and sponsor appearances and promotions and television shows and things like that. But I still get to do some. Again, where I live, it's pretty close proximity to a lot of good opportunities for different things. And I still got a lot of friends that live at home that do that. They're like, man, it's going on right now. The steelhead are really, really going, and you can get away. And it usually doesn't line up, but occasionally it does. We'll get some of those types of trips in, but usually I got a plan for it. A lot of my family vacations and things like that are planned around great fishing locations. And, even if we're doing other things, there's usually a couple of days or a day or two where we'll be on the water.
Yeah, there's going to be a rod that somehow sneaks into the in with the luggage. I'm thinking on most trips.
It's who I am, so it's pretty much part of what I do.
Absolutely. Well, you had mentioned your foundation earlier and all the great things that you do with fishing and promoting fishing, but you do some other things too. I was noticing, especially with like the March of Dimes, and I just wanted to give you a chance to talk about that real quick.
Yeah, I have twin boys that are they're in college now, and when they were born, though, they were only a pound and a half a piece, and it kind of happened right during the beginning of the tournament season, and we just really didn't know what to expect or do, and that's really what the March of Dimes is about, is promoting healthy babies and a lot of awareness there. And so I learned a lot about the March of Dimes through that experience, and have since through the years, and also about the work that a lot of these children's hospitals do, especially ours locally. We still keep in touch with the group of nurses that took care of our boys when they were born, and still do a lot with our local children's hospital. But I've also I've had the opportunity over the years to work with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and get to take different kids that have all different types of illnesses, and get them out there on the water and fishing. And so I've worked with some of the other children's hospitals around the country and things like that. A lot of times for some of our tournaments, we'll actually have a group of anglers go visit some of these places. So that's another thing that is kind of near and dear to Sherry and I is the March of Dimes. I was the spokesperson for them, for a year here in Michigan, where, I was kind of the lead for fundraising. We got to tell our story and things like that. And, like I say, have done for many years and still do a lot with the March of Dimes and different children's hospitals, especially here locally. So we've helped them raise some money and a lot of awareness and things like that for different projects and things that they've got going on, and really watch them grow, to be able to provide, better care for a lot of their families. Because there's nothing more traumatic, as a new parent than being thrown into, that world where your son or daughter is, in need of care or sick or, just like, ours, we were very lucky. They were born very premature, but, you look at them today and you really wouldn't know, but, they just do such fantastic work, and it's not just, treating the, the sickness in the child, but also taking care of the families. It's a
Right.
whole process, and that's what they do an amazing job of. And until you've had to experience it, you don't appreciate just how great the work that they do is.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And we're going to, when we post the episode here, we're going to have links to your page and your foundation so that, if people want to jump in and help, hopefully they'll make it easy for them to find that and, read about a little more about all the great work that your charity does.
Yeah, we're committed to, to really helping kids. I've been fortunate, in my career to get to make a living at something that I love to do. So we just want to try to, reach as many, not just kids, but new people to have them, share that same type of joy, in fishing and in a lot of different platforms there. So, we really work hard at it and, make sure that when we get donations and things that we absolutely make the most of them. We don't have a single paid person on staff. We do it all out of our own pocket and actually spend a lot of money of our own money too, for a lot of these causes and things like that to maximize, our impact. And we, we're have not been at it that long. I think, I'm guessing we're probably had our foundation up now for about 5 years, but, we got big plans for the future. So always working on new projects.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we are going to hear one of Kevin VanDam's most epic fishing stories ever. So stay tuned. I just wanted to say a quick thanks to all of our listeners out there. If you enjoy the show, please take a second to leave us a quick 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or Stitcher. It really helps us to spread the word so that we can keep bringing you the most epic fishing adventures in the world. All right, we are back with Kevin VanDam, and I'm going to ask him what may be the most unfair or difficult question he's ever been asked, and that is, can you pick a single most epic day of fishing that you've had over your incredible life and career of fishing?
Well, I can't pick one that I would say just stands out and is the most, because I have so many, and for different reasons. I've had days where it's just an unbelievable number of fish or unbelievable amount of big ones or things, but in some epic trips to Alaska or South America or even other unique places, Canada, or I've been to Spain, a lot of different things. But, as a tournament fisherman, winning a big tournament or having an unbelievable day in a competition when it counts, really, it's kind of the epitome of what we do. So, I've been fortunate to have won a lot of tournaments and had a lot of success in my career, win a lot of titles with a lot of different things. But, the Bassmaster Classic that I won in New Orleans, in 2011, which was the last one that I've won, was one of them that was really, really special. And the biggest reason was because as much as you put into, tournament fishing, that it's a lot of sacrifice on your family. I'm spending a lot of time on the road. I told you I have twin boys, and they sacrificed a lot growing up. It's showing when you can do something, for them to go to the Classic my whole family goes with me. My mom and dad have been, almost to every classic that I've took. I've been to 28, and they've been to like 24 of the 28 that I've been to. My boys
Wow.
have been to every single classic since they've been born. My wife, is their brothers, sisters, family. You get so much support there. And that classic, after the first 2 days, it was going pretty well. And I was in the lead going into the final day. And, just right off the gate, on the third morning, on the final morning, I started out strong. And I mean, by 10 o'clock that morning, I was culling 5-pounders.
Wow.
I was on pace, for a record setting day, just an epic day of, just catching big bass after big bass. I mean, I was throwing 4-pounders back left and right that I couldn't even cull with. And at 10 o'clock in the morning, I knew that I was going to win the classic. And to have that feeling, to know that, when you're going to go back to the Coliseum in front of, whatever it is, 20,000 fans there and all your family and all that, and to know that you're going to win, it is pretty dang special, So it was one of those deals when I finally got there to the weigh-in, and it came down to the end, and I got to weigh my fish, and I just kind of really sat back and just watched the reaction of my wife, my boys, my family, and stuff like that. I mean, I think they might have had an idea, but they don't really know. But I mean, in my mind, I knew that I couldn't be caught, and I ended up winning the classic by with a record weight. I won by over 10 pounds, and so just to be able to get to do that for them and to be able to enjoy that moment, to watch them for it, was one of the best days that I could have had on the water.
Wow. So was there something special going on that day with the fish? I mean,
it was just a timing thing that, we were there in the springs, and, the weather had been really, really cold the week before leading up to it, and it started to warm each day. And, the first day, they were biting pretty decent. And the second day it got a little better. And that last day was just one of those days where, a bunch of big bass moved into this big spawning flat. And it was just, one of those, 1 in a million days when everything just fell into place, and conditions were perfect, and just a special day of fishing. And to be able to have that happen during the biggest event there is in the sport,
right?
You can't hardly script it any better.
No, and that absolutely sounds like the highest of highs you could ever have in fishing. But I just wonder, contrast that to, some of the days where you're in those high pressure situations and you can't get a bite. How do you, as a professional angler, work through that? I've heard a lot of anglers we've talked to say it's such a grind. How have you learned to cope with that when things are tough out there?
Well, it's that's the difference between people that are really good competitive anglers and people that aren't. Is that mental toughness? Being able to keep your cool under pressure and make smart decisions based on the conditions. At this day and age, everybody has great equipment, and they all have experience and the abilities and that to do it. But in the end, it comes down to your decision making and your thought processes, and being able to keep your cool under pressure. And it's what's between your ears, and that's what separates the top guys in competitive fishing from the guys who don't make it. And it's not an easy answer. And I'm not saying that I'm great at it, but I've got a system that works for me, and it's not really something that is easily to duplicate by somebody else. I mean, it has to be in your DNA so to speak, or your makeup. It's not something you can learn. You're either born with it or you're not.
Right. So I wonder if that would be the advice you give to, up and coming anglers that you said that, you've got your system that works for you. Is that really the key, that, everybody's got to find what works for them? And
you have to be confident. Because on any given day, there's always a lot of different ways that you could catch them, or a lot of different lures you could use. And in the end, it comes down to execution and your own confidence. And that's what, a lot of young anglers had to figure out, is like, hey, you can't go out there and do what the book says you should, or what you read on the internet, or you saw on somebody's YouTube channel or whatever. You've got to go out there and make it happen yourself. So you have to do what you believe, trust your own instincts, and follow your own gut. And that's what it comes down to in competitive fishing all the time, is just really, trusting your own experiences and believing in yourself and actually going out there and making it happen.
Right. Wow. Well, that day you described, I think that's kind of the dream of every angler out there. And what an amazing feeling that must have been.
Yeah, it's something that, I wish everybody could experience. There's not a bass fisherman out there that probably hasn't dreamed of winning the Bassmaster Classic, but
yep.
It's not easy to do, and but boy, it's pretty darn special, and that one was unique to me. But I also won the toughest one in history in Pittsburgh, where you want to talk about a nail biter. It was the lowest winning weight ever, and it was down to ounces. So and they're all special, obviously, but if you want to script it as an angler, you want to win by a landslide, and that one classic there in New Orleans was that. It was just the day that you would, if you planned it at the beginning how it would go, that's pretty much how you would write it down in the book.
All right. Thank you so much. And next tournament's coming up in like a month or so?
Actually starts not this weekend, the next weekend in Oklahoma at Grand Lake.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I'm going to be watching and looking forward to seeing more great epic finishes from you here in the future.
Let's hope so.
I kind of have a feeling. One of my favorite shows I've seen you on was Major League Fishing. And man, you just had a couple days where you just smoked them. And it's fun to watch those other guys talking about it while that's going on.
Well, that's always the plan. It doesn't always work out that way, but that's the way you try to script it. It's worked out occasionally. So.
Wow. Well, an amazing story. And Kevin, I'm just going to go pinch myself here and just make sure it wasn't a dream that I got to talk fishing with you. What a great experience. And just want to thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing that story with us.
You bet. Glad to do it.
So, KVD comes on the show, and not 2 weeks later, he wins the Bassmaster Elite Tournament at Grand Lake. Coincidence? I don't know, but I wouldn't risk it. Sign up to be a guest on the show today at www.tell.fish/guest, and who knows what might happen next.
This has been the Tell Tale Fisherman Podcast. Thanks for sharing another great tale with us. Be sure to check out the show notes page for more info on today's show and the gear we talked about. Keep those lines tight, and we'll catch you next time right here on the Tell Tale Fisherman Podcast.